Hey Anons, basically front desk security here. Be me. New job right as I move out. Feels good man. Arrive at interview. Building is super nice. Feel a bit overwhelmed. Pretty good pay. Wonder how I got the job so fast. First week at work. Hear of the homeless problem. Whatever. JPG. Supervisor begins a story. Tells about the shitting problem. WTF. Basically in the middle of yuppie versus tweaker. Coworker had to clean up shit from homeless person. Okay, it can't be that bad. Meet said coworker. Sit down for like my third shift. See a bag of mushrooms on the front desk. See she is consuming said mushrooms at a more than average pace. Severely confused. She is practically sober. Tells me to leave the job, it's too much bullshit. Infighting homeless people, rich assholes, the whole 9 yards. Shrug it off, she leaves in the next week. Meet the other night shift worker. Texan Schizo. Gets fired in the next week and tries to file a lawsuit for me for discrimination, I'm trans. Fails. Full-time night shift now. Been here 6 months. Building's been shit on 5 times. Illegal rave thrown in my roof. Crazy homeless people left and right, got too many stories there. Rich people giving me psychedelics. And on top of all of that, I feel like I'm losing my head. I worked in a hotel before this that was 10x more fucking scary and still fucks with me to this day. Random phones calls to the police, actual schizos calling me a Nazi, being offered to be part of a drug ring. I got too many stories to sum any of it up, but if you want a trip, hospitality is where it's at. Be me. Working overnights at a laboratory. Pathology department and morgue are proximal to the laboratory. Quiet Tuesday night. Disheveled man starts knocking on our door, locked at night. Dressed in what I consider occult garb. Tell him our normal hours of operation, so he can go away. Tells me he is not here for service, rather a job interview. WTF.exe. Ask him who sent him. Does not reply. Starts mumbling. I can bring back people from the dead. What lol. Okay buddy, hold on, we will get you into contact with someone. Coworker calls security. He is escorted off the property. Kecked hard, thought he was drunk. A month passes. Horrible double homicide and suicide occurs in my town. Same guy murdered his 2 daughters while practicing witchcraft or some shit. Killed himself when he couldn't bring them back. Shit was fucked up. Alternate story. Be me. At boardwalk with family. See a totally hairless pale guy in a jacket watching you and the family with hungry eyes. Coincidentally, hungry eyes is playing through your AirPods. Approach the hooker. Haggle with the hooker. She says she'll do it for free if I follow her, says I can follow her to the other side of the grainy castle. Proceed to follow from behind, seeing strange wiggling movement near her ass. I reach into my pocket to retrieve a piece of a Dorito I had for lunch but forgot to finish while using the public restroom. She accepts my payment. Close my eyes and pray to my various non-denominational gods for forgiveness for the acts I am about to carry out. She looks at me with the gaze of a 1,000 cock stare. Suddenly realize this is how I have always died, from the ultra-aggressive case of syphilis that I ultimately share with my wife. Suddenly I heard a knock at the door and jumped up. It must be the deliveryman, it must be my pizza. Brings pizza to coffee table, realizing I do this every single day and I will never change, albeit wanting to with every fiber of my being. It really has been like this forever, hasn't it? To break the cycle, I decided to go to the men's restroom at the Cruci Park up the street. Upon entering the restroom, I felt some unease over my decision to break this cycle. I instead decide to suck a dick. Upon realizing I was a closeted homophobe my whole life, I broke the mirror in the public restroom and used a piece of glass to slit my own throat, this enduring this cycle for eternity. So, if Op died, who is telling the story? First time I did DMT, a green female entity appeared in front of me, told me really nice stuff. Very unconditional love-esque. Green text incoming. Be me, few years back. Laying in bed, ready to have my very first DMT trip. Pre-flight anxiety, fuck it, light that pipe up. Tastes horrible and is quite rough on the throat. Power through and inhale that naphthalene tasting psychedelic goodness. Start hearing a very high-pitched sound. This is it. Carefully lay down pipe and lighter and prepare for takeoff. It kicks in, bookcase in front of me, turns into beautifully colored geometric patterns that constantly transform. Lay down and contemplate, feels like I've seen this before, even though I've never experienced anything like this. Suddenly a very discernible female figure appears right in front of me, all green. She communicates with me. Welcome back, this is where you come from, and this is where you will go when your body dies. Everything will be alright. For the first time in my life I feel bliss, I feel loved, I feel at home. The end. I did DMT a number of times after that, trying to see her again, never did. Kind of wanted to die to see her, but oh well, in due time. Here we go. I work in a restaurant that's part of an old village nonprofit in the eastern United States. Basically the village was founded in the mid-1700s by a rather odd religious cult. They lived there for a pretty long time, and as you would expect there were plenty of deaths. So naturally the restaurant, which is a repurposed common building, formerly housing the infirmary and village offices, is fucking haunted. Be me. My first day on the job, back in 2017. Working with my homies, so we of course get up to shenanigans. We finish washing all the dishes when my best friend, referred to as M from here on out, decides to ride the dumbwaiter down to the basement. We think fuck it, he's small enough to fit, and it can carry some weight. Send our lad down. He gets to the bottom. Start hearing him screaming for us to bring him back up. Hammer the up button. He makes it back up and tells us what happened. For context, a basement is where the bakery and storage is at. The dumb waiter has a little bitty window that lets you see into it, and in our case, out of it. He tells us he saw a man down there dressed like one of the village's guides, period dress, simple farmer garb. Cult clothes. Tells us that he thought one of the guides was just down there to grab a snack from the bakery, but the guy turned and had no face. Spook.jpg. We never sent anyone down the dumb waiter ever again. I've got loads of these stories. I'll keep posting M4 as long as the thread is up. Okay, geez, so here is the creepypasta so far, replied a .be me. Living in what many would refer to as a third world shithole. Came here for some pussy. Go to cheap brothel, the kind where you can't know for sure that the ladies have lady parts. Chicken out and fap in my car in the alley behind the brothel. As I'm sitting in my rental car, fapping as I watch the hookers come and go, I suddenly look down. I stare in horror as my cock begins to disintegrate. Luckily I'm black and have cock to spare. Still bad though. Suddenly I look in the mirror and realize I'm bleeding hyper-realistic blood from my eyes. Relax, it was about time the meth kicked in. Suddenly have to poo really bad. Be Indian. Wake up. Okay, onto the background and how I got recruited. Also I've decided I'm not gonna trip fag because can't be bothered. Be me. 20-year-old guy from EE. Have fairly broad set of interests in a bunch of different topics since youth, history, philosophy etc. One thing I've always liked very much is the occult. Too big of a wuss to try magic myself, but I do like reading on various practices. Also love conspiracies and stuff, mainly because of X-Files. At some point, decide to join a forum dedicated to esotericism and the like. Post a bit, try to learn a bit more, and also stunt on others with my knowledge. My knowledge doesn't go much further than Wikipedia, but whatever. One day receive a message from a recently created user account. Written in a very formal and polite style, sender tells me that he's got some form of hidden club study group and thinks I might be a good fit. Realize this is my chance to get into the global conspiracy. Send an enthusiastic reply. Guy tells me the group meets on an ERC server, sends me a link to a client. Join, thinking I'm gonna get a QT esotericist GF plus the knowledge to blow stuff up with my mind. This would later prove to be the start of one of the weirdest experiences of my life. Oh boy, I got one. Not a super long story, but I remember it vividly. Be me at 10 years old. At a small local amusement park with the family, enjoying ingesting some of that deep-fried carny food that makes even the biggest land whales say no thanks, I'm full. Family and I walk past this facade covered in cartoon demons with pitchforks and skulls and shit like that, basically one of those old-fashioned dark rides. Point it out to family, they decide it'll be a fun ride, since I was terrified of roller coasters but loved Halloween. We get in the little cart, ride operator sends us into the ride. It's about what you'd expect from an old haunted house ride, cheesy pipe organ music, spiderwebs and skulls in every corner, occasional jump scares. Basically what I'm trying to say is that it was very family-friendly stuff you'd see in a Scooby-Doo cartoon or something. Which is exactly why I was caught off guard when I saw a guy standing in the corner of one of the scenes. Not a spooky skeleton or a monster or anything, just a guy in a plaid shirt and jeans with an emotionless look on his face, staring at me with hollow eyes that didn't even blink once. Keep in mind that this was in a dark fucking room in a moving vehicle with a bunch of noises going off, so I only really saw him for about 9 seconds. What the fuck? Before I could really process what I saw, the car turns into the next scene, your usual fare of spoopy pipe organ music and animatronics that barely work. Right ends, we go outside, and I ask my mom about the guy standing in the corner. She has no idea what I'm talking about, Dad doesn't either. Be me. Waiting for a lunar eclipse because I've never seen one before. Night really quiet, no one gave a damn about the eclipse. Went to ceiling to watch it better. Start to hear drums in the distance. A little odd. Eclipse completed, notice that the intensity of the drums matched the consumption of the eclipse. Drums stop. Watch a little longer. See something in the sky, flying and getting closer. There are 2 of them. They are fast and fly over me, so I took a glimpse at them. They were gigantic white birds with no beak. Each one were really enormous, like 2 meters per wing. They got lost in the distance and headed to a nearby forest. I stayed paralyzed on the ceiling. Look for anyone that could have seen them too. No one in the streets.